put on your seatbelt. Let's go.
All right, turn up the music.
There's a killer on the loose. Look out, he's right behind you. He won't give me the ice. I'm scared, but I'm fighting back. We are the scream queens, running through the night. We are the scream queens, gonna put up a fight, make everything alright. Floating through.
Welcome to Scream Queens Horror Road Trip Podcast.
Ah!
A very snowy, blizzardy episode of Scream Queens Horror Road Trip Podcast, I might say. And that over there screaming is your final girl, Miss Justine. And I'm your sole survivor, Mr. Josh.
Hi, everyone. Needless to say, it has been kind of a stressful drive for us, and we are recording right now, having to take a bit of a reroute to our final destination of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah, we should have been there about an hour ago, but we were on a highway, a state highway, very windy, twisty mountain road, and lots of snow, and there was a semi that was stopped blocking the road, and everyone was having to turn around, retrace, get back to Interstate 40, then we had to go down another 30 miles, so it's like, yeah, we should already be there, and we still have 2 more hours to go. So here we are, and we are, as we said, heading to Santa Fe to cover the Nun.
And kind of from the get-go, by the time we exited Oklahoma, it was raining, and then it was sleeting, and then it was snowing. So we haven't really had the best kind of road conditions that would make it safe enough for us to like drive and chat. But we're here now, and it's now getting on dark time in this mountain area. But we're gonna do our very best, and like I said, we're going to Santa Fe. We are covering the movie The Nun, and we're going to Loretto Chapel to witness the miraculous staircase.
Yes, we're doing that, which I've always wanted to see, or at least in the last few years I've heard about it. And we're also going to one of the oldest churches in America.
And isn't that amazing?
So we're doing some religious things,
Yes, because
spiritual things.
covering the Nun, and it's all about going to a cloistered abbey. So we're going to a convent. The Loretto Chapel is a convent, and there used to be sisters there, but since then, now it's like a kind of a pilgrimage spot, and it's open like 9 to 5 every day for tourists to come and see this staircase that has a lot of like mystery and lore surrounding it because of its creation and the fact that no one really could pinpoint who the builder was.
Yeah, the way it was built, isn't it like made from almost like one piece of wood? The way it's structured, people don't really understand how it is standing, or how it can hold itself and hold people. It's just, yeah, no one knows who did it. It's like just a big, miraculous mystery.
By today's standards, like, we've been able to figure out that it's like just a helix shape, and so all of the load bearing comes like centrally, but the way in which the stairs are affixed and the way that all of the staircase is adhered to the church itself is by nothing more than other pieces of wood. Like, it's just wood pegs that are kind of nailed a little deep into each other. There's no screws, there's no glue. So it's just wood that is not native to anywhere in New Mexico. They think it's like a spruce tree, and its closest relative was in Alaska, but this church was built in the 1870s, so it's kind of difficult to imagine that someone just took some spruce tree, from Alaska and brought it all the way down to Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Yeah.
on the hopes that they would be able to convince somebody to build something.
Yeah, I can't wait to see with my own eyes.
All right, well, we're covering The Nun. This is kind of our first jump into the whole Conjuring universe. There's certainly places to go to cover other films that are in the universe, the Ed and Lorraine Warren kind of like series and all of the haunted movies that surround that whole story of those two people.
Yeah, I believe you can go see the Conjuring house in Rhode Island, and we have some friends in Rhode Island, so who knows, maybe one day we'll road trip out there and cover the Conjuring.
And The Nun, it's from 2018.
I remember we saw it in the theater.
And so it was a while, my rewatch was a while coming on, because like 2018, when I watched this for the episode, I was like, I don't recall nearly any of this.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly memorable movie. I remember I really like the Annabelle sequels. Annabelle 1's not really my favorite, and I do like, the Conjuring universe. So I was particularly excited for this one. I remember leaving feeling a little disappointed. But, we rewatched it and we're here to talk about it. And we're seeing as it's nightfall and we're in a snowy conditions, traffic is starting to pile up. We're going to kind of try to get through it a little quicker than usual just because we need to focus. We had thought about maybe even just recording in the car once we get there, but then now, it being 2 hours later, we just want to relax when we get to our hotel in Santa Fe. So
yeah,
we're going to bring it to you now.
And definitely, like, on the second half, we'll try to redeem what we're not able to do in this moment right now. So the film, some of the big players in the movie, because there's certainly not many. The director is Corin Hardy. I don't know anything else that he's done, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about him. The biggest names that we get to see is Thaisa Farmiga.
Tessa Farmiga, I think.
But and she is sisters to
Vera, who plays Elaine Warren.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe we know how she got this job. And then there's Father Burke, played by Damien Bashir. He's been in a few things.
Yeah, he's a decent actor. I like him.
We have seen, not met, but seen at the tables of Texas Frightmare Weekend. We have seen the nun herself, Bonnie Aarons, but not had a reason actually to go to her table. Just been like, oh, yep, that's the lady who plays the nun.
I've seen her and stuff.
And then, towards the end of the film, we get mentions of Ed and Lorraine Warren, Patrick Wilson, and Vera Farmiga. So, but kind of for the most part, there's not really anyone that I would say like, oh, I've seen the breadth of their work. Okay, so should we just go ahead, jump right in?
Yes, let's jump right in. We start in with a Conjuring flashback. They're talking about a case, mentioning the evil of the nun, how we're seeing that scene when you see the nun in the Conjuring.
Yeah, and it's kind of bookended by just these little informational scenes that really are, the main point is, let's make sure that this is all in the same world and they're tied in together.
They're like, see, we connected this universe.
But the main opening is taking place. It's 1952.
Yeah, and we cut to. It looks like a castle, but I guess it's really an abbey in Romania.
Yeah.
And I will say, one thing this movie really nails is the atmosphere. They really get that gothic atmosphere down. It almost reminds me of the 60s Hammer horror films. Just with all the religious imagery and the castles and the fog.
Yes.
And, it's really old school in that way, and I think they do that really well. That's something I like about this movie.
Agree, and they had the privilege to shoot on like kind of location and had the opportunity to really shoot at a castle. So I'm sure for the actors it helped to just kind of immerse themselves in the role. But we open, it's nighttime, there's suspense, it is already taking place. It's at the Abbey, the Santa Carta Abbey in Romania. We see a sign, and okay, one complaint just out front. What we see is very limited. This film, the lighting in it, so much.
So dark.
I can't make out things, and I understand, like, we're trying to be cloaked at times so that we can get those jump scares, it's setting a tone, but it's a little heavy-handed.
It's sometimes hard to even just see the action.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
And see things that I'm pretty sure I need to be seeing. Like, to further the plot, it's in frame for me to see, but yet, lighting-wise, I need brightness. I need the brightness level to go up like 12 notches.
Take that dimmer, turn it up.
But we open, or not open, but we see two nuns. They are in their habits, and they're running towards what appears to be like a locked door. There's a sign above it that says "God ends here," very ominous. And there's this like Om. I guess we will find out this Om sound, this music kind of correlates with when this demonic entity is arriving.
And we start seeing some panicked nuns. They're
Yeah.
running around like, oh, baby Jesus, help me.
Now, are we making the right decision? Will this relic truly save us?
It's like, have faith, sister.
Sir, a little bit of exposition, so we know there's a relic to be found at some point, and we know that this has got to do with specifically things that are happening in this abbey. And the older nun is just like, well, Godspeed, as she gets like sucked.
Yeah, it's that really cliche, or what's become very cliche, of like the character being pulled really quickly away from the camera into darkness. I'm just kind of over that. It's not scary anymore.
No,
it was cool, like in Wreck.
It was
you
cool
know, and some
in
other things,
Blair
but-
Witch, but it's been a while now. So can we just like shelve that little trope for a little bit? It's just played out. The younger nun, though, is freaked the fuck out by it. So she goes running off. She has in her hand this key. She is, I guess, running to her room. Or somewhere that has like this little tiny opening of a window, and she finds this rope, and
It's very convenient.
Yeah, it's all like placed just within arm's reach for her. And she is trying her best to just stay strong, and then we get these
And then we see someone approaching.
and it's this like cloaked figure, but you can make out, because you have already seen a couple of nuns in their habits, that it's a cloaked figure in a habit specifically. And so we're made to think, oh, this has got to be the nun. This
And
is
you're like,
it.
don't do it, girl. You got so much to live for. And she's going to do it, girl.
She jumps. We know why she jumps, because the older nun had said, like, it needs a vessel to carry on its evil mission or whatever.
So she's like, you're not getting a vessel out of me.
She's like, I might be a vessel for certain hot men, but not for you. And she jumps and unalives, and then we are next introduced to a young Frenchman. He's kind of like singing this like little French song.
It's like, voulez-vous coucher avec moi
Ce
ce
soir?
soir? In 1952.
In 1952, Romania, there's this Frenchman who's singing that
Lady
Moulin
Marmalade.
Rouge, Lady Marmalade song.
You know, a little bit of trivia. He actually wrote that song.
Oh my God, thank you for sharing.
You're so welcome.
I always love how you pocket a little bit of trivia. You don't share it with me ahead of time, you know. I get a little
I'm like,
surprise
sometimes
nugget.
I want to surprise you and teach you a little something.
And I'm happy to receive those little trivia, but you know I love trivia.
Yes.
And I'm gonna I'm gonna put it in my notes page.
Oh, good.
In case, you know, at a different trivia night out with our buds, that question I'm gonna know it. I'm gonna ring in, I'm gonna get that point. But guys, if you don't have a friend like Josh that just offers up little bits of secreted trivia in your own podcast, then you don't have friends.
Oh,
Not the friends that I would. You go look for one. So we've got this young Frenchman, and he is singing, and we can see he is hauling some supplies, some foods, and it looks like he's making his way as well to this castle, this abbey in the middle of nowhere, Romania. And lo and behold, he comes upon what, Josh?
The nun hanging.
She
Oh
ain't
my
just
God.
hanging.
She dead.
She decomposing.
Yeah, she's been there a hot minute.
She been hot rotten out there. I don't actually know
It's a
what,
hot rot.
you know, weather-wise it was. It might have been a little humid, dank, whatever. She had crows eating out her nose.
Oh.
And
pigs eating out her pussy.
Oh,
Crows,
my.
nose.
Wow.
I tried. That's just what I thought they were showing us in the movie.
I didn't see any pigs.
Oh, okay. I must have
At all.
misseen it.
Missing it? Yeah, you did. Because there were no pigs, but there were tons of intestines and sinew that were just like laying all over the steps
Yeah.
to the convent.
And then the next thing we're in the Vatican City. And there's a bunch of priests and bishops sitting around talking about, like, we will have a nun
To touch
killed
people
herself.
and
Yeah.
put fingers in butts.
Oh
and
my gosh.
we'll have to all meet here next week and have tea about it. But what else do they do? Oh yeah, we get introduced to Father Burke. He's there on a special assignment, and he walks in and he closes the door to the bishop, who's in his like bishop outfit, and he is suggestive in the way that he sits, and then he crosses his legs and uncrosses them, and like his balls fall
Oh
out.
my gosh. It's very basic instinct.
So basic instinct, but reverse.
But with balls.
But with balls. And
a priest.
so the bishop is like, oh, whoa, sorry, I got distracted by your balls.
He's like, I can smell those from here. Go
You-
shower yourself.
You were
sir."
supposed to be coming here so that I could give you a job to do. But them yummy balls you got full. Okay.
Oh
bye.
my god. Anyway, so they're going to
Back on
send him
track.
to London to ask a nun to go with him because they're like, you need to go to this abbey, but you need a nun to go with you. They're not going to talk to you
Okay.
without a nun.
This cracks me up. He's in Vatican City. He's in Rome. And they're like, hey, you need to go to London to pick up this chick. She's not even a nun yet.
Yeah.
Okay? But she's got a certain set of skills. Like, she's a Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And you need to go and retrieve her. She's in London. You're in Rome. And then the two of you got to backtrack
To Romania.
to Romania. I know, it's crazy,
He's
right?
like, we're sending you on a world tour. But apparently she has vision. So they're like, there's something unique and special about her. Go get her. So he does.
He goes and fetches her, and we meet
Tessa
Formiga.
Tysa.
She plays Sister Irene. Did I say who he is? He's Father Burke.
Yes.
Okay, so Father Burke goes and gets Sister Sister Irene, whatever. Sister Tits. It's like
Sister Titty.
Sister Tits is not yet sister though, guys. Her name is Sister Irene, but then she clarifies like multiple times, like, no, I'm not actually a nun yet. So she's playing with these kids in some little London convent, and we're getting all cutesified by her.
You can tell she's kind of a radical nun because the kids are being like, well, Mother Superior doesn't say that. And she's kind of like, fuck Mother Superior.
Oh, no, she doesn't kind of say. She says, I fucking hate Mother Superior.
Yeah. She's like, that lady's an old bag. And then Mother Superior walks and is like, come talk to me. And the kid's like, oh. Irene's in trouble.
And so Sister Tits goes in and is told, hey, this is like Papa Burke. And Papa Burke, who you literally just met and now are being commanded to go on a whirlwind adventure to Romania with, he's here to pick you up. And you can ask questions on the way. And by on the way, we mean when you actually get to Romania. I don't know what the hell you two did the whole time you guys were like on a plane, train, automobiles to get to Romania.
But we're going to wait so it's a little bit more scenic for you to ask.
Every bit of it happens once they're there. I'm only assuming that she either slept the whole way. Maybe she was like, I'm taking a couple of like Percocets. I'm going to sleep. This guy's a creep.
That's exactly what it is.
But anyways,
we filled in the blanks.
We filled in the blank. Or maybe they had so much to talk about besides what they were actually like joined up to do. So, yes, their first stop, they're told, needs to be to go to see the Frenchman.
That found the body.
The Frenchman that's in Romania that found the body. So, they go to this small town called Bertan, and find him, and he's like...
He's all horny and like sweaty and like his long john underwear, and he's hitting on the nun, being all... And then he finds out she's a nun. He's like, oh, my bad. Sorry about my impure thoughts.
Sorry about my like super hot... I mean...
He's like, doesn't my junk look heavy in these long johns?
These like... Basically, these long johns are the gray sweatpants of 1952 Romania. Yeah, so he's really giving off like, I smell certainly, ma'am, but I do have muscles under this outfit.
He's like, speaking of smelly balls, look,
Check me out. I've got some right here. They convince him, because at first he's like, nah, I don't think I can, and then she just like bats her eyes, but kind of slowly, because it's like the only time we see her blink through the whole movie. Yeah. But she gives this like, oh, Frenchie. And he's, okay, yeah, sure, never mind. I'll go with you guys. It sounds great. I just told you that no one goes there, and that everybody in town is fucking scared of this place. And all I do is just like take groceries into this one little room that I've never even seen a nun, guys. They're so hidden there. But yeah, let's go. I'll go.
And he's like, and this room's cold, so that's where I put the body. I thought it would preserve better.
Yeah, he gets them.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah, he gets them there too, and it's like pretty heavy. We get a drone shot of that like castle, so we see they had to go deep balls into the forest to get to.
And you see
place.
a big hole in the roof, and he's like, "That's from the bombing raids, during the war."
Yeah, because it's convenient that like this is all placed in 1952. And so Frenchie is like giving a little bit of the backstory about the Abbey and saying, yeah, like they round the clock always are inside. You never see them. But then like when the bombings happen, it shook the earth. And now there's bad stuff that's been happening at the nunnery, but also in town. And basically, what I just don't get is like, from the beginning, these people should have been like, this is a bad idea. This is like a really bad, terrible, no good idea. But they don't. They're like, okay, thank you, take us further. So Frenchie gets them to the actual area that he deposited the body. He cut the body actually fell in front of him. The birds like ate it to the point that the rope broke, but he put the body to preserve it in the same place that he put the food that the nuns would eat, because nothing says healthy food standards like putting a dead body next to food.
They didn't care about that.
Well, when they go into the like little chamber area, though, he immediately remarks something specifically about the body, that it's sitting up erect.
Yeah.
but he laid it down.
They're like, oh, it must be, last minute nerve flare. We're like, what? That body had been hanging for a while.
Yeah, that right there to me would have just been another, should we be here? No, we definitely should not be here. But they further examine the body, and Father Burke finds that inside the nun's clutched fist, and he has to break her fingers basically to get her wrist and whatever. There's a key there, so that key has got to play a big role to something.
Something always has to do with something. You know our motto.
Always got to be doing with something. So they tell Frenchie, thank you so much. You've taken us thus far. Let's get inside. They get inside, and it's empty. There doesn't really seem to be anybody around. They start looking in different little corridors and alcoves, but there's candles lit everywhere. And then out of nowhere, Sister Irene turns around and sees this very hooded, cloaked figure just standing, what would have been behind her, but now in front of her.
And she's like, oh, hello, sister. And she's like, yes, what are you doing here?
And Father Burke's like, didn't fucking see you there, creepy ass. And he's like, we're here because of the dead girl that was hanging that you guys didn't fucking cut down because you're not humane.
We are doing our evening prayers into morning. We cannot talk. Come back tomorrow.
Which was actual code for, we have a huge orgy happening behind this door and you're not invited.
It's time for our sisters to scissor. The Scissor Sisters. That's another bit of trivia. That's where the band the Scissor Sisters got their name.
Right there at the Santa
the ritual of the
from the nun
scissoring
in Romania, in Bertan, Romania. This is insane that we're making all these connections right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's like, you can't. We're scissoring. You got to come back tomorrow. And so they're like, oh, okay. They tell Frenchie, hey, come back in a few days. We have to stay here because it's nightfall, and we're gonna. Yeah, you go back though to town. Which I would have been like, can I stay at least and then leave in the morning?
Yeah.
I don't really want to traverse through the forest area.
What's up with that?
But Frenchie has to leave, and so we get all of that first. We get Frenchie leaving, and by the way, he's a good-looking dude. I don't necessarily want anything to happen to Frenchie.
Oh.
I'm super sad the moment that he's leaving and he starts seeing something in the forest, because I'm like, oh shit, is he about to be our first real tragedy in this
Frenchie.
movie? The hot dude.
And he sees something hanging above him, right?
Well, it kind of he had seen it walking in the forest, and then it disappeared, and then he looks up and it drops down. It's hanging, drops down, and then lands on him
and growls in his face.
And the face looks really contorted, obviously demonic, because it's the nun and this is a movie about demons and exorcism. But the face is doing that real CGI elongated mouth. It's I don't know. I could do without.
Yeah,
I could have done. Maybe
it is a creepy moment, though.
That's the shock.
Yeah,
value.
and then he runs through the forest, and you get it's a really cool shot. Again, because of the atmosphere, he's running through all these crosses that are, obviously part of a cemetery, and it's foggy, and it has that creepy glow.
It kind of, again, adds a Universal monster movie where they would be, in the cemeteries, and I totally get what you mean. It's, all placed in Romania.
Yeah.
The atmosphere they get, it's real conducive to this, creepy story. But I think I was going to bring on a complaint, but no, I'm going to reserve it. We're here just to give the play-by-play right now. And we're trying to get through and get on with our evening. Okay, so after Frenchie runs off, we cut back to inside the Abbey, And both of our characters, Father Burke and Sister Irene, are sitting down to, like, I guess, kind of like have like a little chat, maybe a little after, like, you know, dinner, nightcap, something. You barely really see any of these people drink or eat, but this is where we get them both talking about the bishop and, like, why Sister Irene is going to become Sister Irene, because when she was younger, she saw visions, and these visions were always, like, ending with her getting this ominous message of, like, doom, and then Mary will lead you. And so she had, like, told her parents about that, and it freaked them out. So they kind of, like, got in connections with their local church, and then the bishop got involved, and then that's where she is now. And it makes a little bit of sense, I guess, of why the bishop thought to involve her, but it's still, like, I don't know. That's where one of the, like, story plot, like, falls through for me. It's like, okay, but does he it's just it's a thin thread right there of, like, so he would have had to have known exactly, like, what your visions look like, and this, like, abbey, and about this demon there, and maybe he does, and maybe that's, like, the secrets of the church kind of stuff, but nothing is really mentioned to tie it nicely in a bow. There's a little too much of having to do connections, and honestly, like, I made these connections a lot on a rewatch and on another rewatch, which is not good for any horror movie. You shouldn't, that's not what you want, to have to, like, keep rewatching it to make sense of it. It's fun when you rewatch a horror movie so you can see maybe something that you missed, or, like, a little Easter egg, or, you know, something like that. But, like, when you have to, like, rewatch it just simply to make sense of the plot, I just think that's a big error. Okay.
I agree.
So, oh no! Oh, guys, this is snow, by the way, and ice that we're having to go over. This is not a bumpy road, actually. Most of our New Mexico roads have been good. But this is, like, we're getting on nightfall, and it's getting real cold
icy
outside. Sorry. I'm sure you guys could hear that. Okay.
We're probably going to skim through this pretty quick, guys.
So Burke and Irene, they go to bed, and we get our first kind of, like, evening haunt night, where Burke is the first one that's awokened by a radio that's playing, and he's lured outside. Now, previously, they'd buried the nun that they had found in the supply area, and there was this one moment when they buried her that the bells were, they showed off the bells that are connected to the coffins, in case long ago when the plague went around, and if you were buried alive accidentally, you could ring them and your family would come back and dig you up. It was planted and then very quickly followed through on, so it kind of, I wish it would have, like, that would have
later in the movie, or if they did something a little bit more interesting with it.
But it's like the moment that it got introduced with the burying the nun thing, you knew, like, oh, okay, so we're gonna have something that involves this bell. So Burke gets lured out to the cemetery. When Irene had told the story about the bishop and her visions, Burke had told her a story about the bishop knowing about one of his first exorcisms, which had to deal with this little boy named Daniel who ended up dying from just the traumatic effects of the exorcism. And it's kind of, it's carried with Burke ever since.
And guess what's going to happen? Here comes Daniel.
Yeah, that the demon's going to know exactly what to do to get to Father Burke. And he's lured out there by Daniel, and then the demon kind of is able to, a huge force pushes Father Burke into an open grave that has a coffin in there, and he falls in, and the next thing you know, he is buried alive, and we have our bell incident. Irene is awoken.
She hears it, thank God, and she comes with her shovel.
And she comes with her shovel, but we have a scene where all of the graves are ringing, and
they
she's
should
kind
have
of
gone
thrown
with this
off.
a little longer.
Yeah.
Could have been a really cool suspenseful scene, but instead that lasts for like 2 seconds and then she finds him, so
It's just kind of like, oh, okay, and it's done. And right afterwards, he's like, we're dealing with an insane evil spirit force. And it's like, yeah, we are. I mean, they both, it's agreed. Signed, sealed, delivered. Yes, we have an evil force. But they're not leaving. They're like, now that we know about it, the next morning, they're like, okay, you're going to go and talk to all of the sisters. So Irene, because she's a girl, she's going to go talk to all the ladies, and Burke is going to go to the library and do all of the book research. And so they both go off to do their respective jobs, and both find out information about the demon that is there in the church and the story behind how this like Abbey church was once a castle, and there was an evil duke that was there, and he basically, like any, villain story, he wanted all the power in the world. He assumed this like demon, kind of opened up a chasm in the earth to get this demon.
But they used Jesus' blood to close the chasm.
Yes, there were these and this is probably, I forget what time, what period this is, but we're going to say the Dark Ages. They have this battle, and this evil duke is beat, and they bury the vial of Jesus's blood, this relic, and then they consecrate it, and this castle is now transformed into an abbey, and they have these nuns.
And guess what?
Praying around the clock.
The bombs opened that chasm.
Yes.
Damn it.
And then World War II happens, and shit.
Well, damn.
And well, damn.
Took nearly 1,000 years, but that thing got open.
So they both are finding out this information from different individuals. Irene is finding it out from some of the sisters who are literally praying all the time, and they're talking about this like perpetual adoration.
Yeah.
And Father Burke is in the library, and he finds out the name of the demon called Volok. And while he's finding out that info about the demon, the sister Oana is telling...
Not Moana.
Not Moana. No. But Oana's telling Irene the reason why the entity goes around looking like a nun is because they're trying to constantly fit in with us and throw us off, and we might think that we're safe with each other, but the demon is amongst us. So I get it, like the enemy within kind of concept. So the next kind of like thing that happens is we get a bar scene in town.
Frenchie needs a drink after everything he's seen tonight.
He made it back, and he's like, I gotta drink my sorrows away. But as he's drinking his sorrows away, he notices that there is like a mirror that is covered at the bar. He's like, what's with that? But I guess it's like a Romanian thing. The barkeeper tells them, yeah, there was like one of the dudes here, his daughter, she unalived herself, hung herself, and then this other guy, his kid, like, he's just basically saying, like, my truck broke down and my dog died and blah, 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 blah. Bad things are happening in town. And Frenchie's like, yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. And they just commiserate a little bit about how the town always sucks because of the Abbey and because of all of the bullshit that is, it seems to always be bringing bad luck to the townspeople. And some got to do with something. We know that more than anyone. Something got to do with something. Okay.
Just said I-40 is in 25 miles, so I don't know what this has us doing.
Oh, well, we're just going to continue to follow our navigation. Now that let me look at my notes. Sorry, guys. Like I said,
We're not on a safe highway right now. It's very covered in snow. It's dark.
we get back to Burke, and he is praying his life away. He is attacked by the dead boy Daniel, and that kind of prevents him from being able to help Irene. She's experiencing some bullshit of her own with this like nun who's chasing her down this hallway, and she basically just spends the evening being terrorized by the nun, and Burke again is terrorized by the dead boy Daniel. And Frenchie though makes it there, and he ends up like saving Burke, and then Burke can save Irene.
Yay!
Irene then like she tells them about how like she was having to like pray with all these sisters, and they're like, what? There's no sisters, you know?
She's like, but we've been praying all night.
And I've got this like pentagram that's somehow been like carved into my back, and I don't know what to do, guys. And so they're like, well, the only thing that's left to do is to like take out the nun completely. And so they decide, okay, we're gonna go down into the crypt catacomb areas. We're gonna get the vial of Jesus's blood. We're gonna fight off tooth and nail to beat this nun.
So, like, with our powers combined,
And they
this
do.
nun is going down.
They do. Like, now each one of them takes a really heavy hit. Like, Father Burke gets attacked by like this snake thing on his eyeball, and Frenchie, there's like a moment where we really think like he's dead, because he has to like he's always like having to save everybody.
Yeah.
He
And
always
keeps
comes
getting
in.
attacked, and
But
it's just a mess.
But finally, Sister Irene battles the nun. It's like the ohms to the nth degree, okay? She battles the nun, and she takes this vial of Jesus's blood, and while she's almost being drowned, I
Yeah.
guess she breaks it open and swallows all the blood, and then when the nun pulls her back up out of the water, she spews it in her face.
And the nun starts like melting, but like CGI melting, so it's not that scary.
And the chasm thing like opens up, but it's CGI, so it's also not that scary. And they all watch as she gets like sucked down there, and she's like all sucked.
They're like, bye, bitch.
And then after she gets like sucked, it seals back up, and Frenchie has to give the kiss of life to Sister Irene. And oh yeah, she also like does do her vows when they get down to the catacomb. She's like, I gotta do my vows before I like die. I need to be like an actual sister, sealed with, you know, married to Jesus or whatever. She's like, my visions are a miracle from God. So anywho, he gives her CPR basically, and she comes to, and
She's
then
like,
she's
wow, that was some kiss. And he's like, I just breathed life back into you. She's like, yeah, you did.
oh, tell me your real name.
It's Maurice.
And she's like, well, thank you for saving my life, Maurice.
And it's funny, earlier he pissed off like a demon by being like, I'm not really French Canadian, because he calls him Frenchie, and he's like, I'm French Canadian. And that nun like freaks out. So
She does. She's like, how fucking dare you come all the way over here to Romania and not be really French?
yeah.
But French Canadian, that's important. He brings it up because it's important. So after it's all said and done, they've essentially like, the movie's over, right? Like they've put the demon back in in hell, put Pandora back in the box. They're all loaded up. Maurice Frenchie is going along for the ride this time. He's like, you know what? I think I'm actually going to go back to America with you guys, and I'm going to head to Canada and hang out with my parents. I'm done with this whole world traveler
He's like,
bit.
get me out of here.
But we get this shot of him, and he does kind of look a little sickly. But he's like rubbing his neck, and then
There's an upside down cross on his neck.
yeah, we see like he's got a mark of some sort, and then it's done. But is it? No. Now we have another scene, and it is Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, and it's their home video of their exorcism and the possession of Frenchie, Maurice Thoreau. Oh no!
So here we are tying it back in with a Conjuring, and then the movie ends. So it's like all for nothing. So she wasted that
The blood
probably
of Jesus.
last vial of blood of Jesus's just to spit on a nun so this guy could still get possessed.
I don't get it, guys. Like, how if it all gets sealed up, how is he then possessed? And if you guys can make sense of it for me, that's great. Go the fuck ahead. Write up a little essay for me, because there's too many plot holes for this to make sense for me. Anywho, the movie's over. It's looking like we got a long night ahead of us just to get to Santa Fe, guys.
We're like right now stopped on the middle of the road. There's a semi up ahead of us that's like jackknifed. We've already taken one alternate road. I hope we make it.
Yeah. Anywho, we're going to stay safe. We'll catch you on the second half. Hopefully, weather will be way more appropriate for this kind of situation. All right. Bye.
Another daydream. Something's moving in the sea. Wake up, I just wanna go home. I may be shaking inside. I'm not the kind to run and hide. Come out, I'll take you all on my own. I've got you figured out. Tough luck, you're in my world now. I have no doubt, I have no fear. I'm gonna make you disappear. We are the scream queens running through the night. We are the scream queens gonna put up a fight. Make everything alright.
And we're back.
Hi, everyone. Wow.
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 Wow. As you heard, we were struggling at the end of part one. I kept telling you we were in dangerous conditions, and things did not get better after we signed off from part one of this episode.
Hands down, that has got to be the worst driving, like, road trip part of the pod, like, that we've ever had to
Out
do.
of 106 episodes, that was the most harrowing drive. We'll break it down to
Get
you.
into
You
it.
guys heard that we were like being rerouted. Well, we kept being rerouted. Highways were closing down around us. We're seeing semis on the side of the road, cars turned over.
Jackknife semis, like they're blocking not just like one lane of traffic, but both lanes of traffic.
And at one point on the drive with you guys, we were on Interstate 40. From Interstate 40, you should head north to Santa Fe, New Mexico. But at one point, all the highways started shutting down. They had us going south to try to do like a loop to get back up north. But as soon as we started going up north on State Highway 285, I believe it was, we came to a standstill. And then we were at a standstill for over 2 hours. It started at like 7 o'clock. We didn't get out of that traffic till after 9. And we should have been in Santa Fe at 4:30 that afternoon.
Yes, like we're 5.5 hours overdue by the time we actually get off of this highway, and we had to, with the help of like other people. There's snow everywhere,
Yeah.
and we weren't able to just like make a U-turn.
No, like I was saying, we were at a standstill for over 2 hours. The only reason we got out of that standstill is because there was some man of an angel, or
His
angel
name
of
was
a man, James, who was out of nowhere, was coming around like helping people. He was wading through the snow in the median, trying to make a path. He was helping all these cars go across the median, which was kind of like down into a ditch. It was really scary. and everyone was crossing, and then finally he came up to our car and he was like, I think you guys can make it. Justine's
My car's lower
to the ground, so we were really scared, and he was like, I can do it for you if you're scared to do it. I was like, yeah, take over, dude.
Yeah.
I trust you more than I trust myself trying to get through this. And he got us across the median, and so then we backtracked. I even told him, I was like, I don't know where to go. We're now going in the complete opposite direction of Santa Fe.
And the reason why we were like, okay, we got to get out of this standstill traffic is that we had heard road reports were that we were going to be there overnight. Like any cars that were there were at least going to be there until sun up.
There was apparently a semi that had jackknife was across the road, and it was going to take the night because of the blizzard to get it moved. And then the traffic in the opposite direction was going just fine. Almost no one on the road. So we were able to turn around, and we headed to like the nearest town, which was about 30 minutes away. The first town we came across, no hotel. So we had to go a little farther to Vaughn, New Mexico.
Yeah, yes.
And there was a travel
We're talking
lodge.
a town of like 300 people that grew 4 times overnight, I swear.
Oh, it was packed.
Because then it became, once we got into Vaughn, it was not just that we were dealing with our own rerouted traffic. Then there were 2 other reroutes happening, and one of them was all of the reroutes happening from I-40, because I-40 had like over a 10-car pileup on it, and then it's freezing conditions well into sundown. So there was just so much congestion of people that were stranded.
And all the highways are closing down around you. You know, when you check on your like Apple Maps, or like, you know, if you're on Waze or whatever you use, Google Maps, it will show like red if the highway is at a standstill, yellow if traffic's just moving slow. Everything around us was in red. And so we made it to Vaughn. And
we were also in pockets of zero like mobile like reception. We were in SOS zone. So we at different points, like when we were at a standstill for over 2 hours on that highway,
zero phone reception.
We had no, so it took like people kind of like basically like telephone happening to the point of someone having reception and passing it along on this, you know, highway of cars, that we finally found out we're going to be here overnight.
And so the consensus was make it to one of these towns, try to get a hotel. But by the time we got to Vaughn, they had one travel lodge and then a few, you know, like really kind of sketchy roadside motels. Everything
just
was
really small.
Booked up.
Yeah, even those motels had 10 rooms, you know, like, and also come to find out, even if you had a room, most of the motels, their
pipes were freezing.
Yes.
And people didn't have water in the hotels.
So maybe you had
motels.
a room, but you couldn't.
So after finding out we could not get a room, we decided, okay, let's go over to the gas station. There's 2 gas stations on both sides of town, and they were all full. People camping out in their cars. So we went to one of the gas stations, got like whatever hot food we could get, you know.
These like
shitty cheeseburgers.
Green chili cheeseburgers, which they did what they had to.
Yeah, the meat portion actually wasn't bad. It was like the bun and stuff was like stale. You could tell it'd been there all day. But anyways, regardless, we were happy to at least have that. And then we decided, okay, I guess we are hunkering down in our car in the hotel parking lot, the travel lodge parking lot. There was a diner attached, so we knew like at least at some point we could go get food. It was a 24-hour diner.
We don't know though that the pipes have been frozen over.
Yeah, we don't know that yet until the morning.
But we camped in my car, and I have all these like sunshades, so we blocked our view.
Gave
so
us
we
some
could have
privacy.
Yeah, because he's a lady after all. You know,
I need my privacy when I sleep.
He put his face mask on. We ate our food and we went to bed the best that we could.
Oh my God,
and it was
the
awful.
worst night of sleep. We would like have the car running so we get some heat, and then I would kind of wake up a little bit, turn the car off so we would save gas, and then as soon as it got like, you'd kind of wake up because it would get so cold that you turn the car back on to get the heat going again. Like this was all night long.
This was like probably every 30 minutes we're doing a rotation of car on, car off, and we're probably doing this for 5.5 hours.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was probably about like 11 o'clock at night to like 5 in the morning. It's about 5:45. We decided to go to the diner. We're like, let's get some coffee. Let's get some food. hopefully by the time the sun comes up, there's a route that's open. And then, like Justine said, once we went to the diner, like, oh, sorry, the only thing we can offer you drink is soda. All our pipes are frozen, and we can make you some food, though. So we ate some pancakes.
A really decent
had some
pancake.
soda. Yeah, they weren't bad for some, like, random roadside diner.
They were nice. I kind of feel
New
like they
Mexico.
gave us more than, like, they were making up for the fact that there was really a lot that we couldn't even have coffee.
Yeah.
So just, ugh.
Luckily, though, we're checking the phone. We're looking at all the routes, and we finally found a route that didn't have red that could get us to Santa Fe. And first, this route looked like we were going to have to go really far out of our way and maybe take like 5 hours. Like, we thought we were going to have to drive all the way to Albuquerque and then up. And on like these little rural highways, so not like a fast interstate. But luckily, as we're heading to Albuquerque, we see another highway open up, and we're like, let's do it. And we got to Albuquerque or New Mexico in about 2 hours.
We got to Santa Fe, in about 2 hours.
We got to Santa Fe in about 2 hours. It was a beautiful drive. That next morning, yesterday morning, or whatever it was really beautiful. We're driving the mountains. Everything's covered in snow. We decided to listen to Christmas music. We're like, oh, this might be the only time we can enjoy Christmas songs in the snow, because in Oklahoma it's hit or miss. Sometimes you get snow at Christmas, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Well, we arrived about 10 a.m. and
remember, we should have been there at 4 the day before.
So we'd really we'd lost time, for sure. But we made up for it. Like, we got into the hotel, and the hotel was so nice. The El Rey.
Oh my God, the cutest.
They
hotel.
made sure our room was secure. We were checking in with them when we could. We had reception, letting them know like we're not going to make it, and they were really sweet to just like keep the room available to us. And then once we got there, they were really kind. They were like asking me if we were, how the night was. They knew that we'd slept overnight, but we got in the room, kind of power napped while each of us freshened up.
20-30 minute nap, kind of. Yeah.
But the thing was, is we were like, we know we have to power through this because our day is
We've already
gone.
lost one day here in Santa Fe. We're gonna have fun today, damn it.
Yeah, and we were itching to one, have some really decent food, and two, to get to our most favorite brewery, and also like one of the most famous breweries, especially in New Mexico, Santa Fe Brewery Company. But what we love so much about them is like the atmosphere, the whole, it's very inviting, and there's the indoor seating. They have a wonderful food truck that we were able to really have some good grub.
Oh my God, I had the best birria ramen. So it came with 2 tacos, and then the birria sauce, or what would you call it? Broth.
Yeah.
Had ramen noodles in it. Ugh.
And it was a plentiful
so
amount.
good.
Oh my goodness. And I had the carne asada fries with like this green chili sauce all over it. Amazing.
So good.
It was exactly what I needed, accompanied with a beautiful IPA like only Santa Fe Brewing Company can make.
Yeah, their beers are delicious. Yeah.
And we get around brews,
And it was nice. We're still enjoying the snow atmosphere. We sat by the window, and you can just see everything covered in snow.
Yeah, and there's mountain-capped
snow-capped mountains.
Yeah, snow-capped mountains, and it just looks really gorgeous. And it was warm inside the brewery, but of course outside it was nippy.
It was quite the winter wonderland. It ended up being beautiful. Like, as much as we would not have done this trip, when we learned our lesson, we had seen that there was going to be snow in Santa Fe for like up to a week or so, but they need to actually, in the weather app, show like something else for a blizzard.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
one little
travel advisory.
snowflake doesn't do it. Like, we thought like, oh, there's just going to be light snow. No, it was a full-on blizzard. We got trapped, slept in the car, but
we're not trying to push blame.
No, I mean, it's all on us in the long run, but once we got up there, it was worth it. Like I said, the drive into town, we actually could get on the road, was gorgeous. The whole time we were in Santa Fe was just a winter wonderland. It's everything you want during the holidays.
Oh, absolutely. And so we get food in our bellies, and we're like, okay, we have a lot to do and we're going to tackle it tomorrow. We're going to enjoy today because yesterday got just gobbled up from us, and we knew we could accomplish visiting both locations that we wanted to pursue. We knew we would be able to get to those.
Yeah, we're like, we'll do that tomorrow. Today's like about regrouping.
Yeah.
Just, refreshing ourselves.
And we really wanted to make sure that we just soaked up all of the downtown time that we could. So that's exactly what we did. We either of us had never been to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, so that was wonderful
It was so cool. Like
visit.
Seeing her paintings in person, they're so colorful, but yet like delicate.
Yeah.
All these like Southwest themes and flowers. Like her art is really incredible.
It's so interesting, and I think you had mentioned this when we were in the museum, just kind of like what we know her of from a more just like a wider view of her versus like when you go to the museum and it talks in depth about like she's really empowered woman of her time, and had a lot of obstacles to get through and lived a very unconventional life in New Mexico. So I really enjoyed learning about her, and the museum showcasing both her artwork and then also photographs of her taken by like I think it was her husband or boyfriend. I can't remember now if she like actually got married or whatever.
I think she was a lesbian.
Well, there was a man who was heavily
maybe
involved
not.
in her life, and
I would have to reread her biography.
but I enjoyed like seeing pictures of her and seeing her as herself, not
like
just represented by her artwork.
Yeah, she seemed like a cool ass chick.
After we went to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, this beautiful downtown Santa Fe district is a very walkable, inviting, warm, welcoming kind of like flowy community. So many shops, very eclectic. There's going to be a lot of jewelers, and then a cafe, and then a bookstore, followed by a mountain shop because you're right, an outdoors space because you're just right there by the mountains. And then tucked in is also our next stop, a wine bar.
Yeah, that ended up being a fun find. And it was something we found last time we were there, like over a year ago, if you remember one of our episodes. But we didn't go in. And this time we're just walking around like, hey, let's go in. Let's have some charcuterie and we shared a bottle of wine.
Yes, yeah, we had some rosé, and then we got we love any brie with dip. That's just that's fine for me. Hervé was the wine bar, and it had nibbles, and it had a very fun greenhouse look to it. So it kind of reminded me of how I feel when I'm in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like sitting in like little cafes, and that's the vibe I got. And then after that, we had to go back to our motel, the El Rey, because each evening they had an event celebrating something. We had heard from one of our friends who had stayed previously at the El Rey and really recommended it, and we had
we'd had the
opportunity to go to the bar La Reina the previous year, so we really wanted to stay there, and the rooms are just price.
Yeah, the whole hotel.
It's amazing.
Don't let the word motel throw you off, because it's almost like a little resort.
And it's also off a Route 66 vibe, so it's serving like motel.
It's all that adobe. It's all painted like white. It has like just a really cool personality and vibe. Very kind of like kitsch and vintage in a way, but very Southwest.
Yeah, and we really just wanted to have an evening to enjoy the motel as well, because we had previously enjoyed it. So we got there, perused around, ended up at La Reina, and ended up finding our drink kind of the weekend, which was a mezcal throw on Manhattans. And we absolutely enjoyed them.
possibly an old fashioned. We can't agree on which one we ordered the first night.
Well, so we ended up getting differences because the first night, they're so similar, guys.
Yeah, I really can't remember. I can remember Justine saying Manhattan, but she swears she said old fashioned.
Yeah, and I'm not.
And we bickered about it for a good 15 minutes the next night.
But then here we are today, and I'm like, I'm not going to bicker about it anymore. We're going with Manhattan. So
either way, they were good. They were whiskey and
well,
mezcal.
we had them both at that point.
Yeah.
We decided, like, okay, well, we're going to try them both ways. And then, again, they still kind of taste similar. Because I really think it's the mezcal that made it taste more similar. Because truly, we know old fashions and Manhattans don't taste like one has vermouth and the other is sweeter.
Yeah.
So I think it really was the mezcal that was more misleading, and then they both plopped themselves a nice cherry in there to just confuse me. So yeah, but we found that drink, but
we went to bed pretty early that night. By like 9, 10 o'clock, we were exhausted from our nights of barely sleeping in the car.
And that's kind of it too. We didn't really need to drink too much because we had sleep on our minds already. So we woke up the next morning and
hit the ground running
again. And plus, we love a coffee shop, so we went to Iconic, which is a well-known coffee shop, and they have a few throughout the New Mexico area, specifically in Santa Fe. I think they have 3. And they also are a roastery. I love them. I picked up their beans. So definitely, and you can go on their website. This is not a paid thing, but I really like Iconic coffee. So hit them up.
They had really good chilaquiles. I will say the next day, it's like they forgot my order. And remember, they ended up bringing out cold because I finally, after like 25 minutes, I'd be like, my food coming? They're like, oh yeah. And then they brought it like seconds later, but it was cold. I was like, oh, so it's just been sitting there.
So definitely Iconic coffee.
Yeah, their food's good.
The food is
if
good.
You get it when it first orders up.
Yeah.
But
you could also tell they were really popular. I liked the feel, the atmosphere of their coffee shop. A lot of lighting, a lot of greenery, throwback on nostalgic like video games. So it was, my millennial heart was filled.
Yeah, it was nice. It was yummy. And then we went to the Loretto.
Yeah, we went to the Loretto Chapel to see the miraculous staircase, and we were there first thing, like when it opened.
Yeah,
we were the
some of like the first people there. When we've had people comment on our pictures, they'll be like, "Oh wow, it looks so empty." When we were there, it was so crowded. I was like, "Well, you didn't get there at 9 a.m. when they first opened."
Yeah, when we wanted to also like the lighting with snow, it's so pretty. We wanted to get these wonderful pictures outside of the Loretto Chapel itself, and then to go inside and see the miraculous staircase, which
were gorgeous.
And
the lighting was gorgeous in the church, coming through the stained glass in the morning. Like it was just the ambiance.
So funny how I walk in and it's like all of a sudden I'm Catholic, but all of a sudden I was like super Catholic. I was like looking around at everything like, yes, this is gorgeous here. I love it, Mary. Serve over there in your corner.
You know, it's kind of funny. Like unless you really read up on the stairs, you get there like, oh, it's a pretty wooden twisty stairs, spiral stairs. What's the big deal? But no, it's the history behind it and how the wood came from hundreds of miles away and how the structure shouldn't really stand. You know, they're miraculous. It's
all made of wood, and how it like came to be. Now some were even claiming that and this is where the miraculous part comes into play, that they think that it might have been Saint Stephen, he's like the patron saint Saint Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters, who must have stopped by to ensure, because the wood from the staircase is something that still causes that's where truly today the mystery is. It's like, where did the wood come from? Because with modern science, we can put together how that staircase would be made, but they just don't understand, how did the wood get here? Because that's not an indigenous tree, but they also can't find a close relative to it nearby. So that's why it's miraculous.
It's a miraculous mystery, but it was really cool. I had been seeing this for years on different like mystery shows and whatnot, and so it was neat seeing it in person. And
and they had I think it was the unsolved mysteries playing, but on mute. in like a corner area, because it was very quiet. When you walk in the chapel, there's an area, or there's like a sign that says like this area is like quiet time, like you need to keep your lips shut. We lit little candles, to lift up prayers, and went to the chapel souvenir shop to just kind of look around. There's just like a ton of Catholic
There's nothing
merch.
we wanted.
No.
Oh, the thing I wanted was the day before at the George O'Keeffe Museum, this cute crew neck sweatshirt that they were selling for $96. Who the hell is going to buy a $96 sweatshirt? Not me. And it was cute. I really wanted it.
In this economy, no ma'am. I cannot. And the sweatshirt was so freaking cute.
Yes, I wanted it.
I'm so mad at it. Okay. So it's also still very much morning time after we leave the chapel. We had so much time in there, but we kind of had the place to ourselves for a while. So we got to get a lot of pictures.
But then we walked just down the street to our next destination, the other church, chapel.
The San Miguel Mission. It's the oldest church in...
They said oldest Catholic structure.
Yeah, oldest Catholic structure.
In the U.S.
Because it's also the Catholic chapel structure part, the mission part, was built on a previous structure, which was an indigenous structure. And so when you go inside the mission and see the interiors, which are what still remain.
Oh, and it's gorgeous. And you can tell it's old. And like the altar and stuff was so interesting and
there's
neat to look at.
Bell that had been, carried all the way, I believe it said from France, that was like from 1380 something.
And it was just covered in rosaries and different offerings that people have brought over the years. It was really pretty.
You could tell that there was a lot of just lore and reverence that was given to this place. And of course, it's a historic, it's on the historic registry, so it's also kept up with to a certain extent. Since it's a historic site, there's so many efforts to preserve it in its condition, which means that they have an area where you can see the different places where it was built over time, and they still have an area viewable where you could see where the original like indigenous structure was, which was from like 1300. And then the mission that was built there was built like in, I think, 1610. So it's been there a while. Been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to.
But it was really cool seeing all this in the morning. It was so peaceful walking around town to these different spaces, and it was just it was. You feel something special when you're in these sacred places, whether you're a believer or not. There's just an air of reverence, and you can tell people really come in to appreciate where they are. And I don't know, there's just something about the atmosphere that's really nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Just the ambiance alone. And then after that, we were like, great, we've checked off both of our locations. We didn't even really know if that was going to be possible. Gosh.
Since we had to cut out a day, basically.
There was one point where we thought, I don't know if this is going to happen, guys. Like, we had I told Josh push through, but there was a moment where we were like, maybe
we might have to turn around and go back home, because
and we're gonna have to probably drive and figure out a whole other game plan.
Yeah, what can we go do in Amarillo?
Of what to do, but
but
so
luckily
glad.
we found a route that got us up to Santa Fe. But then we went to the Turquoise House, which is
we
really
got to spend
nice.
the rest of the day just shopping.
Yeah, and I got some really pretty jewelry. Some of my first turquoise. I got these really cute turquoise raindrop earrings. And if you go,
they're beautiful.
The owner, Joe?
Yes,
a super nice, friendly guy, elderly gentleman, probably 60s, 70s.
Yeah,
super nice.
Range,
owns the shop.
And we'd gone there specifically on recommendation from
my sisters
family.
had gone a few months ago and like hit it off with the guy, and he ended up giving me my sister's special, is what he told me, because he remembered my sisters being in there. And so it was really cool. So go to the Turquoise House, get some pretty jewelry.
Go. Okay. And then after we did that, we kind of did just a little window shopping in some other areas. But I really wanted to go, and so we went to that olive oil balsamic store, and I freaking love it.
I love that shop too.
Oh my god, I love getting some olive oil to cook with. That is just, I like when you walk in there and it's like a tasting room. You get to taste the olive oils. They're so different too.
They have these little cups. You just pour it in and take a little sip or a little lick, and I mean, and there's all kinds of flavors, like especially with the balsamics. There's like raspberries and pomegranate.
Yeah,
and
they go
strawberry,
fruity,
like,
they'll go savory. There's like the red
spicy.
chili, because you're in New Mexico. They have both the red and the green chili. So we picked up both like balsamic and olive oil because
I think I got 2 balsamics and 1 olive oil.
Yeah, we both did that. Yeah. So, and also like you get a deal there too, guys, if you get more than one at a time. But okay, so we got that, and that's yummy. We went to a Christmas store. We were kind of just waiting at that point. At
We
the
had a
Christmas
reservation
store. Yeah,
at the shed that we were kind of waiting to go to.
and the shed is just a wonderful New Mexican cuisine. So we had like tamales.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a Santa Fe staple in their downtown area.
Yeah,
Very
the
popular.
regular, the non-out-of-towners usually go there. So we stopped in there, and it's definitely very yummy. And we didn't have like any drinks there.
Yeah, we just had sodas. We had tamales, and we had the best corn. What was it?
It was like a green chili
green
chowder.
Chili corn chowder.
Oh
my god. One of my favorite soups I've ever had.
Incredible. And there was also these like kind of like Southwest burger bites. They were oh my god,
so good.
Yeah,
go to the shed.
Yes, definitely go to the shed. After the shed though, we had to get back. We wanted to get ready for our evening
Oh my
event.
gosh,
We had been looking forward to, and had been again recommended to us from other people that had recently gone to Santa Fe.
We did the Skyrail Sunset Serenade ride that night.
Owned by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, he owns the trains that do this. But you show up, they do all different kinds of train rides throughout the weeks and years, and depending, like, they do Christmas ones at Christmas. There was like a margarita one we could have done. There was a flamenco one. We just chose the Sunset
kind of more
Serenade.
Subdued, demure. There was more family and just like friends that were kind of hanging out. And it was
my God,
nice.
It's incredible. Like, you show up, they give you complimentary champagne, and then there's someone playing music in each train cart. You can eat and drink. They have a space outdoor, like a huge platform space where you can go out, take pictures, see the scenery. Everything was snow-capped and gorgeous.
The train's only going 15 miles an hour. It was wonderful. We were looking around. There was like a group of ladies that were just like cackling and cracking up. There was a hot couple.
Missouri.
There was this family who, like, there were their kids, and this wonderful family that were just like sitting there. Everybody's just taking in the view. It was very nice. And then, of course,
cocktails and beers, or whatever you want.
Whatever you wanted. There was now specifically our guy that was doing the quote serenading. He was singing a lot of like country songs.
A lot of country, a lot of like old like rock standards. Pretty much he was taking
Hotel California.
Yeah, he was taking requests, so it was
Yeah.
like whatever people said that he knew how to play.
Yeah.
But he was great. Like, it was fun. Like, the whole night was magical. It's during sunset, so you get like these beautiful vistas, and the lighting is gorgeous, and in our case, snow all around. It was just like the prettiest scenery.
And then after that, what was a fun, and now it always was a fun experience on the Skyrail, but we did have another episode where we were stuck on the Skyrail for much longer than over an hour.
Yeah, apparently a car was stuck on the train tracks, which I don't get, because at that point, pretty much Santa Fe had thawed out. So I was like, where is a car stuck on the train tracks? So yeah, we were stuck for about...
yeah. And one that, maybe it was just that we had to stop so that one could get by.
Yeah, well, I thought you said a car was stuck on the train tracks. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was a train cart or something. I'm not sure. Regardless, we were stuck for an hour, but it didn't seem laborious, and we weren't like pissed. Everyone was still having a good time. They were giving complimentary drinks out since we were stuck, and so yeah, it ended up being fine. Like, we didn't really care. We were vibing and listening to music and talking, and meeting our hot neighbors.
I know, that couple was like just so funny. They were sitting over there very much in love with each other. But they were so nice, like just chatting everybody up.
And I mentioned they were hot.
Yeah, they were hot. Yes, they were both very good looking. And then after that, we headed back to our motel to enjoy ourselves one last time.
Yeah, we went back to Lorena, had a couple cocktails, then went to bed, and we had to get up today, go to the coffee shop one more time. Today was when I had those chili killies that were cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got on the road, and we're heading back. It really is. What's sad is it's an easy jaunt from Oklahoma City to Santa Fe. It's like 7.5 hours, which sounds like a lot, but compared to like some of the drives we do, it's, if you leave early enough, we left at 9, should have gotten there about 4.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, but like, let's say you get up, hit the road by 6, you're going to be there by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it's really not that bad. It's just a really fun place. We've started falling in love with Santa Fe. It's awesome little getaway.
And then next is we've just got to talk about our favorite scenes and...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we've just been describing the trip this whole time. Yeah, the Nun, the whole reason we went. What is your favorite scene? Do you have a favorite scene? I'll tell you mine because I do know mine.
Okay, well, go ahead. I had one. I'm not gonna say like my favoriteest scene. I didn't, for the most part, like. I wouldn't recommend re-watching this movie multiple times, but yeah, my favorite scene, if I had to choose, would probably be the opening.
Okay.
It seemed like it was the most suspenseful. The nuns, they were giving me the most, like, I felt for them. I didn't even know really what was happening, and they were giving the exposition, but I felt bad for them, whatever they were doing. I mean, the girl jumps off, so I know something terrible is happening. And I think it did the best it could to set the scene, but I just don't really know if after that, if it got any better.
Yeah, it's good atmosphere. Like that's, like I said in the first half, something they really nail in this movie is the atmosphere. But I'm sorry, that's kind of it. It's not my favorite movie. My favorite scene would be when the guy, my mind's blanking on names, but when he is leaving them and he's in like that cemetery and the body falls on him and screams in his face, and then he's running through all the crosses. In the cemetery.
You're talking about Frenchie.
Yeah. That scene's really well done. That's probably the best scare in the movie is when that body falls and screams in his face and he's running. Again, the atmosphere, it really I love how gothic and dark and misty. They really play well with imagery in this movie. It's creepy. It's probably the creepiest, but then it just gets like, I don't know.
I think...
And we like a lot of the Blumhouse Conjuring Universe movies.
Yeah,
it might not even be Blumhouse.
Maybe it's just hard for me to see. Like, I wish there was the lighting. There's something about, like... It just gets away from the storytelling because I don't even know what I'm looking at on in my view sometimes. Yeah. It's so dark, and I get that. Yeah, that's going to enhance like a jump scare, but I don't know if I'm even like on like pins and needles yet. I don't know if you're going to jump scare me because I just can't even make out what's on screen.
And the acting doesn't help, and everyone seems like. They have moments where they're a good actor, and I know Tessa Farmiga's a good actress, but she's a little too earnest, a little too theatrical. Like, I feel like I'm watching play acting, like you're in the theater or something.
And it might be that she was having to play, like, younger, more, I don't know. She's older. I know she appears and presents just, like, younger, but I think the difference in age, the character she was playing versus actually how old she is, might have, like, I don't know.
Yeah. And with that said, knife ratings, I go 2 knives on this one.
I agree. 2 knives. I definitely, I appreciate that they tried. I think the idea around like a demon that is released because of something that the world did. We all blew up and bombs dropped, and then we don't even know sometimes what we've let loose. That's kind of like the the fallout of war. We had no idea, and then now this like church, chapel, convent sitting there just becoming corrupt over those years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like the premise of it,
There's something
it's
just a
there.
little, yeah, but then it gets a little too convoluted. Like
Right,
there's
yeah.
too much
storytelling going on.
And sometimes that's great. Like I love a dense story, but this is like it almost gets boring. It's so like convoluted.
Yeah, it's something about like the exposition's coming from a lot of different areas. We're getting the barkeeper who's talking about things. We're getting, everybody's like throwing in, of course, the opening scene. We're trying to even just like have an idea of what's going after those sisters that are going to have to, or one of them dies and the other sacrifices.
And the setup's not even bad. Like the
No.
opening and then how Tessa Farmiga gets roped in, but then it loses some steam. It's not one I will probably ever revisit again.
No. So with that, although the movie we probably wouldn't recommend viewing more than once, we definitely recommend that you make your way to Santa Fe, New Mexico in your lifetime.
Just make sure it's not a blizzard that you're going to get trapped in and have to sleep in your car.
Or if you do, take your best friend.
Yeah, make sure you have a blanket. Luckily, we had a blanket,
Yeah.
our heater, and we had enough gas. Like,
Yes.
all that worked out. But
Very thankful, filled with gratitude that the trip
and then we got there
was fun,
safely.
and yeah, so I'm glad about that. And this one's in the bag, baby. So go to our Patreon, join. Like, we want to hear from you. Start voting.
Mhm.
Go to all of our social medias. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Will you give us that 5-star?
Yes, give us a little review, give us a 5-star, and we'll be back next month with a Christmas horror. We're still working out what exactly, but I think we are going to the Tulsa Horror Con. It's their first annual horror convention in
And
Tulsa.
it's happening around Christmas, so
There's
you
gonna,
know.
yeah, and there's gonna be some fun guests: Danielle Harris, Michael Berryman, some cool names. So we're gonna go have fun, and we're still deciding on which Christmas horror we're gonna do.
There's still so much
Mhm.
for us to look through and to touch on. We just don't know quite yet, but we'll stay tuned.
Yep.
You guys will
But-
be back next month. Take care.
Bye.